Hi everybody, this is episode 267 of the Intercooler podcast with Dan Prosser and Andrew Frankel. Now for lots of you, this is going to be Le Mans week. Lots of you will be heading down to Le Mans.
Yeah.
In a few
I'm
days.
one of them.
You're going to be going.
Yeah.
What day are you going?
Leave UK on Thursday.
Very nice. Is that the day that most people go? What's the busy
well,
day?
Well, because some of them go down there and just make a week out of it, don't they?
Yeah.
They go down and they watch all the quali sessions and they go to the driver parades and everything else. I'd love to be able to do that, but time is time.
Yes.
So I'm going to go down there Thursday. I'm going to leave Thursday, get there sometime on Friday, and then leave as soon as I can after the race on Sunday afternoon and have a long drive home.
What are you taking?
I'm taking an Aston Martin Vantage Roadster.
That'll do.
Well, I've never driven it.
Oh.
No, I've driven the Vantage.
Of course, it's new, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I wasn't planning to do this, but I'm just going to do a weather check.
Oh, I can do it for you. I've already looked.
Okay, how's it looking?
Hot and warm.
Is it?
Yeah.
A dry Le Mans, okay.
Well, I mean, it never is, though. You never get a truly... Well, maybe we will.
Yeah.
There must have been some. I can't remember a time I ever went to Le Mans when it didn't rain at least once.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just had, and there are some filthy wet ones in the past as well. I don't think I've ever been to a filthy wet one, but some have been fairly nasty, haven't they?
Oh, yeah, the one that I think everybody who was there remembers is 95, when the McLaren won.
Yeah.
That was damp. That was, yeah. It's the only one I really remember. Yeah. Oh, well, no, I remember 2001 as well, right at the beginning, because the Bentley on its first ever Le Mans outing briefly led the race because despite the fact they'd never tested it on wet tyres, because all through testing had just been dry, and they had Dunlop tyres and everybody else had Michelin's, this rain shower broke, and maybe they were first into the pits or something. Anyway, they made a good call, and all these other cars were just flying off the circuit. And a Bentley led Le Mans, so I was quite chuffed about that.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're going to have a nice sunny one. I mean, if you're heading down there, have a great time. It's a brilliant week or brilliant weekend. If you see Andrew wandering around,
come say hello.
Collar him, say hello. And
can I make? This isn't a correction; it's an addition.
Go on.
Well, because we mentioned Le Mans a lot on a previous podcast, I didn't mention that in addition to McLaren going to Le Mans in 2027, I got a slightly snotty note from someone at Ford saying you didn't mention us either. So Ford are going to enter the hypercar category in 2027 as well.
Good news.
There you go. Plug over. What that does mean is if they both turn up and nobody else pulls out, there'll be 10 manufacturers, 10 factory teams in the hypercar class.
And the real blue bloods as well of Le Mans, of sports car racing.
Yeah.
It is fantastic. They've really got something right here. Why did it take so long for them to figure this out?
Well, we've talked about it, haven't we? It's all about the regs.
Yeah.
It's all about, because I mean, particularly in the past, you'd never have got Ferrari there because you could never have had an F1 and a sports car program going on at the same time. It would have just been too expensive. But now with LMDH and LMH,
it works.
It works.
It's just fantastic. Well, I'm going to be watching from home. I'll see how much of it I can have running on my laptop or on my TV throughout the weekend. And then we're straight into Canadian Grand Prix, aren't we? So it's a busy weekend. Yeah. You'll have it on the radio on the way home. But listen, it is Le Mans week, and that also means it's Father's Day this Sunday, June 15th. And your old man, if he likes cars, your old man would surely love a gift subscription to the Intercooler this year.
Who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't? You can choose from 6, 12 and 24-month gifts. And just head to the-intercooler.com, find the gifts page, and you can check out in seconds. It's really easy to do. And better yet, coupon code DAD15 will get you 15% off. So at checkout, use coupon code DAD15 for that discount. It's a really simple, easy thing to do. And as you like to point out, Andrew, if your old man likes it, do it again next year. You never have to think about it again.
Keep doing it.
There will be a link in the description to go straight to that gifts page, or just go to the-intercooler.com and find the gifts page. So a couple of months ago, we made some mega upgrades to the front end of the Intercooler. Things like this podcast is available ad-free to our subscribers. There's a new midweek show called Ask the Intercooler.
Just for subscribers.
Only for subscribers. We now do audio articles only for subscribers. in the last couple of weeks, we've made some big upgrades to the back end of the app and website, which basically means the app is now running beautifully. Regular readers will know that we hold our hands up here, we did have some performance issues with the app.
Yeah, what was happening was at 7 o'clock in the morning when the notifications go out about each new post, everybody was quite understandably piling in, and it slowed things down. But we believe that situation is now behind us.
We fixed it, and the app is running beautifully now. So, do go and check it out. I think you're going to jump in. Were you? No. Okay.
No, don't think so.
All right. Well, listen.
Apart from just the usual plug about. No, I do. I was going to say something.
Go on.
On Ask the Intercooler.
Yes.
The exclusive subscriber-only midweek podcast that we do. We've just been knocked out by the number of questions that we've had.
Yeah.
People are so into that podcast now, which is great. And they're only subscribers. So, you might consider joining them and get your question read out and us answering it to the best of our limited ability.
Well, and also, if you take this podcast and you take the Thursday Ask the Intercooler podcast and you take all our audio articles, we're now producing up to 12 hours of ad-free, really good, we hope, quality ad-free audio per month.
Yes.
12 hours.
So, who needs another podcast? Just bin them all.
Well, there you go. It's 12 hours of hopefully really good audio that you'll enjoy.
12 hours of us.
Just for subscribers. So, enough of that. On a slightly more serious note, there's a load of stuff that we want to get through this week, but we're going to start off with news of a fundraiser.
Very important.
For Bicester Motion. So, as we know, there was a terrible fire at Bicester Motion a few weeks ago, and 3 people very sadly lost their lives, 2 firefighters, a member of the public. And it was, Bicester Motion, Bicester Heritage, it's such an important place for our community, isn't it?
It is, and it's kind of come out of nowhere. And I think the first thing to say is this fundraiser is for the families of the bereaved.
Yeah.
And, our hearts go out. Whenever something terrible happens in our community, we all feel it, whether we knew any of the people involved or not. And certainly in this case, I certainly didn't. But obviously it's an awful event. But lots and lots of people who will have been profoundly affected by it. Largely in our case, the people who work at Bicester Motion and some of their tenants as well. It's really, really important. And I'm sure you'll give the details in a minute. But if there is anything you can do to help the families of those who have lost loved ones, then that would be terrific.
So the event is this week. It's not at Bicester Motion. It's at Banbury Cricket Club, just up the road. It's on Wednesday, the 11th of June, from 5 p.m. onwards. It's a car meet at Banbury Cricket Club.
So that's the day after tomorrow. If you're listening to this on Monday when it goes out.
Yeah, there'll be food. It just sounds like a good time. If you're in the area, go along and spend some money. It's really, really worth doing, and well done to everyone who's putting that on. So let's crack on then. I want to start with Alpine.
Okay.
And you drove out to Dieppe, where the Alpine factory is, a couple of weeks ago in a A110S.
Yes, come to France, they said. Come to the glorious coast.
Yeah.
In summer.
Yeah.
I got so wet.
It looked really grim.
Absolutely drenched.
But it proved a point, didn't it?
Yeah.
Which is that the A110... one of our maybe our favourite car. We do talk about it just a little bit.
I think in terms of the fact that it is the only car that we've ever given 10 out of 10 to, it is our favourite car.
Yeah.
By that definition.
And what you will have learned, although I think you knew it already after a track day at Thruxton, that car, even the S version, that car in the rain is basically uninhibited by wet weather. You just keep going.
It appears to defy physical law.
Yeah.
We're so used, aren't we, to getting in, I said you and I are lucky enough to have come used to getting into very expensive, very fast supercars and hypercars and being completely blown away by their ability to cling onto a dry road. Yeah. In the wet, not so great. But I don't know another car whose all-round point-to-point speed deteriorates less than an A110, because it's not just like, if you have a car with four-wheel drive, then that gives you the traction to get out of a corner. The A110, because it is light, because it has all its mass is centralised, because it's got a very clever tyre on it, it works everywhere. It has traction, it has braking, and it has cornering speed. This isn't an invitation for everyone to go out there and to go screaming around in their A110 seeing how far they can push the envelope in the wet. I wouldn't be suggesting that for a moment. But if you're just pressing on a bit, you can it just spoils your drive so much less than I think any other car I've driven.
Yeah. I remember being up in North Wales years ago with my car, and I was in a convoy with a couple of supercars, serious supercars. There was an Aventador SVJ there, and this was proper North Wales weather, so it was chucking it down. It was grim. The roads were almost flooded, and I just remember when the road opened up, just drove away from the Lamborghini.
Yes,
but also, if you swap the drivers, the same thing would have happened
with a third of the power.
Yeah, because it just keeps going.
Just keep going,
and you still feel confident in it. You still feel the grip. You still. It's still reassuring.
Yes, so what it's not doing is lulling you into some full sense of security so that when it goes, you've had it. When it goes, it's still great. It's still very benign. It's still very gentle. It just understeers a little bit, then it oversteers a little bit, and, keep going.
So we know there's going to be a new A110. Next year? Do we see it next year?
If you refer back to the piece that I've written on the website and the app, you will be able to find out. Yes, I think we see it next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's all electric.
It is all electric.
And you managed to... You're a proper news hound.
I know.
For a while.
I got my deer stalker out.
Yeah.
It's quite unlike me.
But you managed to needle out lots of details about the new A110 and another car that we're going to come onto in a moment.
Yes.
So we know that A110 is going to be all electric. I mean, based on what you've written, it does sound like it's going to be quite a different sort of car. Not just the powertrain, but it's going to be a little bit bigger, which is not a big deal. They're sort of targeting a 1,400 kilo weight, aren't they?
There are two ways of looking at this. Way one is that's 300 kilos more than the current car.
Yeah.
And going, oh God, here we go again. Way two is that is still the same or less than any equivalent ICE car.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is the same. I think the weight is, they were a little bit, I don't know whether it was confusing or it was just a bit opaque, but from my reading of it is that it should weigh the same as a base spec Cayman.
Current Cayman.
Current petrol Cayman.
Yeah.
And I think that
is good going.
I think it is. Given what we all know about EVs, which is that they pile hundreds and hundreds of kilos onto, and it has done on this, but on this car too. But starting from such a low base, I think it's impressive. I really do. And I think that, a 1,400 kilo EV stands a really good chance of being pretty decent to drive.
Yeah.
Particularly when you think of all the, advantages that EVs bring in terms of, the ability to deploy power and that sort of thing. But yes, it will be a different car, clearly. One big difference is there's going to be a four-wheel drive version. I presume that means they'll put another e-motor in the front. And that will up its performance and up its power by a big amount, but it'll also up the weight and the complexity. But given that the current A110 is going and it's gone, it may struggle on for another year, and that the next one was always going to be electric. What I've learned about it is at the upper end of my expectations for it, in terms of the specification, because clearly it still really matters to them that this car is as light as they can make it. It also, I did say, yes, okay, fine, but you made it this light, but clearly that means it'll do 3 miles and need recharging, and apparently not.
Yeah, sure.
They say it'll have really decent range. It'll be a usable everyday car. Now, this is a car manufacturer telling me what that car manufacturer thinks I want to hear. So, the jury will remain absolutely out until we get to drive the car. But so far on the information that we have, I am cautiously encouraged.
Yeah, that's right. So with an EV, it's a trade-off, isn't it? You can make it really light if you want to with a little 30, 40 kilowatt hour battery.
Yes.
You could take 150, a couple hundred kilos out of it, but does that make it a net better car for most people if you chop 30, 40% out of the range?
It just depends on the type of car, doesn't it?
It does.
And if with the A110 your view is that, and I know this was very much your view, and it would be mine too if I had one, that this is a daily driver, then a 30, 40 kilowatt battery is no good. It's not enough. No. If it's a Caterham, different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a trade-off. And what will be interesting to see is whenever these Porsche electric sports cars arrive, the Boxster and Cayman,
Yes.
see what they weigh, and if
Yes.
the Alpine is still significantly lighter, then that's an achievement. But I wished, I was hoping for a sub 1,300 kilo weight for the A110, but we'll see. We'll see.
I just think it's, well, without making that trade-off that we just discussed with the range, I think it's almost impossible until there is some big
I think that's right.
breakthrough, until someone somewhere finally figures out how to make solid state work. I think these cars are always going to be, 20% heavier? Yeah, so it is what it is. And I think the other thing to point out is all we're doing at the moment is comparing it to what we know, i.e. the existing A110 with its petrol engine, which we love. By the time the car is here and the electric Cayman and Boxster are around, we will then compare it not to the past but to the present and to its competitor set. Yeah. And if they are electric too, then that's a fair comparison to make. I'm fascinated to see what those Porsches weigh. Yeah,
I really am. I hope with the Alpine they haven't. Thing is, they probably have built it into a more substantial car, because the A110, a lot of people look at that car and think it's a weekend toy because it's quite pared back inside. Yeah. It's very, very light. It's very small.
But it's still got cruise control.
Well, this is it. It's actually not just a weekend car.
And digital radio, and it's very spacious inside. Yeah. The only limitation is the luggage space is not great.
But they haven't sold, right? We love this car, but they haven't sold.
That's the other point.
And so presumably Alpine is well aware of that. And I suspect they're going to build a quite different car. I think it's going to be much more Cayman-y and Boxster-y.
He did. So Philip Creef, who is the CEO of Alpine, did say to me that dimensionally it's going to be bigger, but really not by much at all. Yeah. Still, the idea is still to keep it as compact as possible. So,
that's encouraging.
Yeah. Well, again, but we have to wait and see. But he didn't strike me as someone who just said stuff because there's a journalist stuck in front of him, and there weren't any PR minders around giving him the crib sheet and say you have to say this, this, and this. It was just him and me. So, we'll have to wait and see.
You point out that at 1,400 kilos, just to maintain the power to weight ratio of the A110S, it's going to need 400 horsepower.
Correct. And
you speculate that at the top end it might be 500 horsepower.
Well, the four-wheel, I mean, if you think that, I think they're going to have to find something to appeal because they've lost the petrol engine. And, the easiest way to do that is to go, yes, but it's got a lot more power.
It's fast, yeah.
It's fast. So let us assume, let us speculate that 400 horsepower becomes the new entry level, because then they can say, so the power weight ratio of an old A110S is now where we enter, not the top end. And then they then have the four-wheel drive version, so that would inevitably be more powerful than that, not least to offset the weight that it'll bring. So that might be 500, 550. I mean, we're so used to, isn't there a Smart that's just come out with over 600 horsepower?
That's just nuts.
We're used to, and so these numbers are not in any way unusual anymore.
No.
They just don't sit terribly comfortably in the context of what we have always understood an Alpine to be. But the world has moved on, and as you so rightly said, the thing about the A110, which we so frequently just gloss over, is it's not been a very successful car. And as Creef said to me, 4,000 cars a year is not a business.
No, it's really not.
No. So
there's a supercar coming.
There is a supercar coming. Yeah, which will be done. So the company that currently, which is owned by Renault, that does Alpine's Formula One engines, that contract is coming to an end. I think Alpine's going to a Mercedes unit for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so their next job is to create this supercar, which will not be all electric.
Yes.
It's going to have a brand new V6 twin turbo hybrid powertrain. And we await further developments with interest.
And sort of broadly aligned with the Ferrari SF90.
We think so, but we don't really know. That was my understanding. He said that we clearly can't charge Ferrari hypercar money for it, But then again, it's going to clearly have that level of performance. So I think it will be, excuse me, there or thereabouts. But as I said, we'll have to wait and see.
So there's a TV advert for the A290 that's doing the rounds at the moment. And I can't remember exactly what the strapline is at the end, but it's something about lightness, the joy of lightness or something. And so, if that's their main marketing message, that really is an important thing for them.
And it still is. Even when they were launching the A390,
yeah,
the crossover, which is not a light car,
no.
All the messaging, all the general Alpine messaging was around lightness.
It doesn't make a lot of sense with a two-ton SUV.
Do you think, given that, we have seen, haven't we, before, Alpine products like, the A610 is the obvious one, and there was the A310 before that, which was sold in the UK as a Renault. They've never sold in big quantities. And now Alpine are coming along, and they are essentially saying they're going to start playing with Lamborghini and Ferrari and McLaren. I think that's where they're aiming it.
Blimey.
Just in terms of, you think Lamborghini, Ferrari, McLaren, the most sort of blue-blooded, gilt-edged supercar brands of all. And then Alpine comes along and says, look, here is our competitor. Is anyone actually going to... I'm not saying this is right or this is wrong. I'm just looking at what's happened in the past. Also with things like the Honda NSX. Is the brand something which is so powerful if you've got it, and such a weakness for you if you don't, that however good the car is, you're always going to struggle up against, the European supercar royalty?
I think it's always going to be a struggle for them in that category. Even with the current A110, I think only die-hard sports car enthusiasts bought it, and that's not a very large constituent of people, which is why it hasn't sold very well. I don't think anyone who was only sort of tangentially interested in cars walked into a Renault dealership and bought the slightly funny-looking sports car in the corner, because that sort of person would have the BMW M car, would have the Porsche, would have the AMG.
Yes. And what if sometime between now and then, heaven be praised, Alpine wins a Formula One World Championship or two?
And Le Mans.
Do you think that's going to make a difference? Do you think that will suddenly elevate the brand to a point where people will go, actually, this is a bit of me?
It's only going to help, isn't it? But I can't see it.
I know what you mean. And, I mean, if you think about those other brands we mentioned, okay, Lamborghini don't race that much, but they've been around.
Yeah.
They have 60 years of very credible product behind them. And Ferrari and McLaren are, need no further explaining from me. And I think to come into the middle of that lot and go, hello.
I think it's tough.
I can see a few going, because if it is amazing, there will be people who want it because of that. But I think that most of those cars, particularly when they're new, tend to, maybe slightly less so with McLarens, but certainly with Ferrari and Lamborghinis, they tend to sell on their image. And if you haven't got that image, I think it is going to be difficult. But fair play to them for having a go.
Oh, crack on. And I wish them all the best of luck. Everyone knows that we love that marque. And actually, one thing that I was going to say about lightness, so the A290 is 250 kilos lighter than the Mini Cooper SE, the electric one. So, I mean, that's massive.
BMW aren't bothered about the weight of their cars, are they?
They're not.
You've only got to go and drive an M5 to know that.
Yeah. So, best of luck to Alpine. We can't wait to see what you come up with. Should we do long-termers?
Oh, okay.
Because mine's gone.
Oh.
I'm carless at the moment.
How'd you get here?
I had to steal Mrs. Prosser's car.
Oh, okay.
So she's stuck at home.
Does she know?
I think so. My Audi S e-tron GT has gone. Had it for 6 months, 7,000 miles. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. It was the first EV that I've lived with. And it sort of clarified a few things for me on the EV front. The first is that it was, in the 6 months I had it, only occasionally, only a couple of times, was the fact that it was an EV a nuisance.
Yes.
But I don't do mega miles, really. I mostly work from home. If you're sort of up and down the motorways every day and you're going here, there and everywhere, it's going to be a nuisance. But for me, it really wasn't.
But you also have the three critical components of happy life with an EV.
Yes.
You have home charging, you
Yep.
have off-street parking,
Yep.
and I've forgotten the third.
Another car.
Another car. There you go. Yeah.
It's a good job I know what you're thinking. That's right. And so, given that triumvirate, it was absolutely fine.
Yes, but you have to have all those three things. Otherwise, they just don't work at all.
Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely true. And actually, what I've realised is purely for getting about the place local driving, where you're just getting from A to B, I actually prefer being in an EV because I just like the smoothness, the quiet, the response.
Completely.
I like all that stuff.
Yes.
The trouble is, I am an enthusiast. I still want a car that tickles me, and EVs don't do that. And so if it is my car, my only car particularly, it would still have to be an ICE of some sort.
Yes.
But I would really like to have a little EV about the place.
As you know, we have a 8-year-old Golf at home, which is showing absolutely no signs whatever of wearing out. But when it one day does, that car tends to get used for, well, it used to be a school run car, but then it's supermarkets, going to see the in-laws, that sort of thing. It tends to get used for local journeys. I think I would replace it with probably a Renault 5.
Yeah. I saw one coming in today, actually.
Did you?
I haven't seen many on the road
I haven't seen any on the road yet.
They're starting to appear now.
Yes.
They do look fantastic.
It's not through any lack of demand.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
You know, the telephone has been ringing off the hook since people like us first started driving them.
Yeah.
When reports came in.
So this Audi. So I got it in the middle of winter. It was doing 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour.
Now,
in spring, it was doing 3.
it's such a difference.
So I think
What's that over in terms of ultimate range?
I think about another 50 miles, which is massive.
It is massive.
But you have to take the lower point, don't you? Because for the third of the year or whatever, that's what you're going to be stuck with. So I reckon the maximum real world range in that car is about 270. The claim is 370. We know what these WLTP numbers are like.
And we need to say, and we said it before, but it deserves restating, that this is not the manufacturer's fault.
No.
There is a very specific way in which these numbers have to be generated, which is not defined by the manufacturers. And it's ridiculous. I mean, do you remember, what was it called? Oh, NEDC, New European Drive Cycle. That's what it used to be called. That's what WLTP used to be. And that got utterly ridiculous. And WLTP was going to come along and be the real world measure.
It wasn't it?
And then we were really going to know what our cars were doing. Just total cobblers.
Why can't it just take real world data
Well, this is what
from
I've always
users?
said. Yes.
The technology exists to do that. You could
Yeah, of
anonymize it. That's actually a great idea. That's how it should work.
I've been saying it for years.
Yeah.
But everything has to be done under laboratory conditions. So basically everything has to be done in conditions that are guaranteed never to be replicated by anybody who drives any of the cars that are subject to it.
Yeah. It's strange, isn't it?
Yes. Let's not disappear down that wormhole.
Well, here's a wormhole for you.
Go on.
EV depreciation. Right, and I'm not singling out the Audi here because they all do it. The Porsche Taycan, goodness me, the Porsche Taycan does it. The comparable BMWs, Mercedes, they all...
Polestars.
Yeah. These high-end EVs, they just shed value like nobody's business. So I've done a little bit of sort of speculating on the car that I had for 6 months. And it was brand new, roughly £120,000. And if you look at 3-year-old e-tron GTs in the classifieds now, and you take a bid off for, the insulting offer you get from your dealer at trade-in, I reckon the trade-in value after 3 years might be 50 grand. It might be less. So that is £70,000 in 72 months.
And
sorry, that's £70,000 in 36 months.
yes.
So that's roughly 2 grand a month in depreciation.
Which is why these cars, those that do sell into fleets.
Because the fleets don't care, they can write it off against tax. But if you're buying one of these privately,
but also they get sold into fleets at knockdown prices, don't they?
Yeah.
And that in itself is what ultimately torpedoes the residuals too.
So it is nuts. If you're looking to buy one of these cars with your own money, just go 18 months old, because it will have done a lot of that depreciating already.
Yes. And they're all pretty reliable, I think. I guess they have far fewer moving parts because they don't have parts. They don't have engines. They don't have gearboxes. There's a lot less on them to go wrong. There's no way I could even. Maybe a little one, which doesn't have that much. A little desirable one like a Renault 5.
Yeah, that'd be okay.
That'd be okay. But even that, if I got one, my view would be to hold on to it forever and amortise the depreciation over the lifetime of the car. At which stage, it really doesn't matter very much.
But $2,000 a month. Anyway, that aside, I just thought the Audi was fantastic. I've really enjoyed it. Can we talk about yours?
Yeah, well, I sort of feel I'm driving an EV myself.
Yeah.
Because I have this plug-in BMW 530e, which has now done over 4,000 miles since it's been with me, and I filled the tank twice.
It's great, isn't it?
It's fantastic because, most journeys I do are less than 60 miles, and it really will do 63, 64 miles.
That's very good.
On a single charge.
That is very good for one of those.
Yeah. And, even if you're doing 100 miles, then there's only 30 miles of fuel you're going to use. And even interestingly, I had to go to Heathrow and back last week. And one of the annoying things about the 530e is that even if you put it in efficient, it doesn't really look at where you're driving or how you're driving. It just burns straight through the battery. So basically, I did half the journey there on the battery, and then all the journey back with just the engine on. And it still did 40-something to the gallon just on the engine, which when you consider it's like a 2.2-ton estate car. And I think what is actually happening is it does scavenge bits of electricity back here and there under braking and so on and so forth, because occasionally you can see the range meter on the EV side sort of tick up to 1 or 2 miles, and then it deploys that. And I think it's just always just chipping away at it. But no, so I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying just being in an electric car, but with that massive backstop. My theory, which is why I think all car manufacturers are getting this wrong, and I actually I was on a Bentley job last week, and I put it to the engineering boss of Bentley, that actually what the future of the car should be is a car with a big but not enormous battery, but then a decent enough ICE engine. So imagine you had a car that would do a genuine 250 miles on its battery. But then there was, in addition to that, a really small, maybe a 1 litre, 120 horsepower engine attached to it. Rather than, because at the moment, my car's got, most of its power comes from the engine and a bit comes from the battery. I think it should be the other way around. I mean, essentially what I'm saying is that BMW kind of got it right when it first did the i3 with a range extender. And then you basically spend all your time on electricity, but range anxiety is gone.
Yeah.
Because you know that when push comes to shove, you can keep going because there is an ICE engine there. A little efficient thing, yeah. Very efficient little ICE engine. And nobody's doing it. And so Dr. Matthias Raab, who is the Bentley engineering boss, very nice, likable, straightforward chap, said he thought it was a great idea, but he thought that for a Bentley, it might not work because if you're going to do an electric Bentley, you have to have the biggest battery you can because you need all that range. But he thought that I was about to say lesser, but what I actually mean is less expensive, perhaps slightly more everyday cars, then that could and should work.
There's a sort of an image problem for something like a Bentley. If you had a little 1 litre 3-pot,
that would be difficult, wouldn't it?
It's just not going to work. But what if it was a turbine?
Well, Jaguar CX-75, blade and jets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be cool, wouldn't
yes,
it? No
absolutely.
one's going to go, "Oh, it's only one, whatever."
Or a little modern rotary engine.
Yeah, it's just something cool, something a bit different that doesn't draw a direct comparison to the piston engine that you might have.
So, anybody listening, please tell me why this idea is nuts. What is wrong for the future of the car? And I'm not talking about performance cars or Caterhams or anything. I'm just talking about transport. What is wrong with having a big-ish battery and a decent range extender?
I think most people coming back will say, let's just improve the charge network and then you don't need the petrol bit at all.
I think, in our utopia, in our dream of dreams, that's exactly what should happen. But we're not there yet, and there's no sign that we're going to get there anytime soon. Maybe BMW missed the boat because they arrived too early. And maybe it's now set sail, and so I've missed the boat.
Yeah.
And maybe this should have been happening 7 or 8 years ago, but didn't. Who knows?
Can we talk about something else, please, rather than electric cars?
Sorry. Apologies.
The Porsche 963 RSP.
Yes.
That's cool, isn't it? So this is the road legal version of Porsche's Le Mans Hypercar.
Yes.
It's a one-off built for Roger Penske.
Yes.
His initials are RSP. And really, it's a recreation of the Count Rossy 917.
Yes.
Owned by?
François Perraudot.
Yeah. A friend of ours. So before we come to the 963, can you tell us everything you know about the Count Rossy car? Because it's so cool.
It's a road-going 917.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sniffy about these cars, but I struggle to get too excited about them because there's only one.
And what's it really going to do? And am I ever going to drive it? No.
No. I mean, I think it's very cool that Porsche have done this.
And this was Porsche North America.
Yes. I think it's incredibly cool that Porsche have done this for Roger Penske. Roger Penske, I think a lot of people know that their current 963 racing car are raced by Roger Penske's team. I'm not sure that everybody still remembers that over 50 years ago, Roger Penske was the person behind Porsche's all-conquering, all-destroying Can-Am cars. And if you look at the 917-30, okay, these were cars which were designed in Stuttgart, but very much with Penske input. And then they were developed and raced by Roger Penske and people like Mark Donohue in North America. So, he's got a pretty impressive long service award there. And I think it's fantastic that they have done this car for him. But I kind of think that's as far as it goes. I can't really see any greater relevance to it than that. I'll look forward to it. I mean, I think it will be at Le Mans this weekend. I shall definitely go and have a big nose around it.
Yeah. So the Count Rossy car, I mean, it is Francois' car, and I think it lives in London or nearby. And so he does drive it into town occasionally. You do see it on Instagram, and it is just the coolest thing.
Yes, it is. It is unbelievable.
I would love to see it on the road.
I think I saw it go up the hill at Goodwood once.
Yeah.
Just seeing a 917 with a number plate on it is just so outlandish. So yeah, I love that. I love the idea of it, but these are one of ones, aren't they?
Okay, how about the Aston Martin Valkyrie LM?
Yeah, tell me about that. Okay, cards on table. I've seen the release.
Yeah, okay.
I may not yet have read it in great detail, but in my defence, I've not been in the country for the last 5 days.
Fine. So the Valkyrie Hypercar, that's Aston Martin's hypercar that makes its debut this weekend at Le Mans.
Yes.
And the LM is a version of the racing car. They're going to build 10 of them and sell to customers as the ultimate track day toy.
How does that differ from an AMR Pro?
Well, it seems to mostly differ by having 300 less horsepower.
Oh. Because it's got the Le Mans engine in it.
Yeah, the lean burn Le Mans engine, which has to be pegged back for regulations.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Whereas the AMR Pro from a couple of years ago didn't need to be pegged back because there are no regulations that it had to satisfy, and it had 1,000 horsepower. So,
but it's not based on a Le Mans car.
No. So this new LM has that kudos.
Yes. So this is essentially Aston Martin doing what Porsche have just done, but making 10 of them and making available to customers. Yeah,
I mean they're track only, but
yes.
it is
I see. Yes, good point. Yes,
it is derived from the hypercar, the Le Mans Hypercar.
And
whereas the AMR Pro was not.
I think that's the point, isn't it? The AMR Pro was derived from the road car.
Yeah.
I do know that the Le Mans Hypercar, although it is Valkyrie based, it's a very, very different car.
I think even, to be honest, the AMR Pro was quite different to the Valkyrie road car. I think it was on a different chassis.
It was made by Multimatic, wasn't it?
I think so. I think it had an LMP2 chassis.
I don't know about that.
So is it? Yeah, I don't think this was ever announced, but word has got out. And so actually I think you've got the Valkyrie road car, you've got the Valkyrie AMR Pro, which is actually quite different under the skin.
Wasn't there also a track pack there was a track pack for the
road
Valkyrie
car, yeah.
And you could turn up and it would take people who knew what they were doing 20 minutes with some spanners, but you could change the front clam and the rear deck.
So Valkyrie road car,
yeah,
Valkyrie road car track pack, Valkyrie AMR Pro,
yes,
Valkyrie hypercar,
yes,
Valkyrie LM,
yes,
hypercar. So there's 5 different versions. Well, why not?
None of which I've driven. Boo.
Come on, Aston.
They weren't slowest.
Oh.
So
Really?
there's been the Le Mans test day.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. They beat the Peugeots.
Blimey.
Now, I think the view of the test day is that no one was trying to set a lap time. People were just focusing on setup and sorting their own stuff out.
Yeah.
But probably not in the least bit surprisingly, Toyota and Ferrari were fastest. Then there were some Porsches knocking about. Can't remember really what anybody else did. I think the BMWs were kind of there, but not quite. But the Peugeots were the slowest. And then the Astons.
I just hope Aston don't take a total drubbing this weekend. I hope that there's something to cheer about.
Well, I mean, I think one car home in the top 10, I think they would regard that as a
That'd be fantastic.
decent result, as a really decent result. And, I know we've said it before, but, it is the only car in that category that's based on a road car. It is their first time back there. And I think that they should be cut all the slack in the world. I think if they continue with the programme, which I imagine that they will, I think next year, people will be expecting more meaningful results. But I don't think that anybody is expecting anything of Aston Martin in its first year back in the top category at Le Mans since. Well, that's an interesting question. Well, there was when did Aston Martin? I mean, okay, so there was the AMR1, wasn't? Well, there was the Lola. Aston.
Yeah, the V12 one.
Yeah,
that finished fourth overall.
Yeah, we won't mention the straight six one.
Okay, so that was the last time they competed in the top category.
Yeah,
at 12 or 13, I think.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
Well, I mean, I'm really interested to see how Aston Martin get on, and if they can be even reasonably competitive, it would be great. Well, listen, we are running out of time. There's one more thing I want to talk about.
Go on.
BMW M2 CS.
Oh, yes.
Right, so it's new version of the M2.
It's quite a lot of money.
It's got a very distinctive looking ducktail. It's got another 40 horsepower. No manual, so just paddle shift, modest weight drop, 30 kilograms, £87,000.
It's a lot to pay for a 2 Series, isn't it?
It is. But you recently drove an M4 CS.
Which is £120,000.
Yeah.
And really liked it.
So this is it.
And M5 CS.
Yeah, CSM cars tend to be really, really good.
Yes.
So I've got high hopes for the M2 CS.
Me too.
But at 87 grand.
So how much power has it got?
523.
So it's probably not far off a standard M4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be... I mean, the standard M2 is a very good car. BMW has a habit of producing excellent CS bashed cars.
Why no stick?
It's not too much torque. But honestly, just peg the torque back.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Okay. Even so. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good car. Just based on form, the CSs. I don't know what it is about the CSs that they're not doing on the standard ones. But they do always seem to be a significant step forward.
It is slightly irksome, isn't it? That, they put up these CSs and go, look, we can do it. We do know how to do it really.
Yeah, it just takes us a few years.
Or we just don't bother with the other ones.
Yeah.
Because the other ones sell to people who aren't that interested.
Yeah.
But for those who are, yes, guys. Yeah, we still do know. We do know how to do it.
And they really do. Okay, so we'll wrap that one up there. If you're going to Le Mans, have a great time. Call at Andrew.
Yes.
Buy him a pint. And
or two.
as many as you like. And let us know how you get on. Thanks ever so much for listening. And it's Father's Day this weekend. There'll be a link in the description if you want to buy your old man a gift subscription to the Intercooler this year.
The multi-award winning.
That's right.
Intercooler website and app.
And I mean, if your dad isn't necessarily into reading, just remember he can now listen.
Can I just say one more thing?
Go on.
People who subscribe to us for a year, there's a 96% chance they'll subscribe again after that, which I just think is astonishing. And I've said it before, but I think it says something about we may have got the content approximately right.
I'd say so.
So I think there's a good chance if you do buy your dad a subscription, he'll want another one next year.
Yeah, and use coupon code DAD15 at checkout for a 15% discount. Thank you for doing that. And in return, we'll be back again next week.
See you then.